He was the world's most dangerous drug lord, responsible for thousands of deaths. Yet in the hills of Medellin, he was loved like a saint. Murals of his face still decorate walls, candles are lit in his honor, and some even pray at his grave. So how did a man accused of so much bloodshed become a godlike figure in Colombia? The answer lies not just in crime and power, but in poverty, politics, and perception. The rise of Pablo Escobar. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia, and raised in Medellin. From a young age, Escobar was ambitious. He dabbled in petty crime, eventually rising through the ranks of Colombia's underworld. By the late 1970s, he had founded the Medellin cartel, which would become one of the most powerful criminal organizations in history. At his peak, Escobar was reportedly making $420 million a week from cocaine trafficking. Forbes listed him as one of the richest men in the world. But while his empire spread violence across the globe, Escobar had another side, one that would earn him worship from Colombia's poor. The man who gave back. In the impoverished neighborhoods of Medellin, Escobar became a legend. He built hundreds of homes for the homeless, funded soccer fields, hospitals, schools, and churches. He donated money to local causes, handed out cash to poor families, and paid for children's education. To many, he wasn't a drug lord. He was a benefactor. The poor didn't see the violence in faraway places. They saw new homes where there were once slums, clean water where there had been none, and opportunities that the government never gave them. Politics and power. Escobar didn't just buy goodwill, he tried to buy political power. In the early 1980s, he entered politics and became an alternate member of Colombia's Congress. He even donated millions to government initiatives. But soon, his drug empire was exposed, and he was forced to resign. Yet in the eyes of many in Medellin, Escobar was still a hero. He exposed the hypocrisy of the elite and showed that someone from their world could challenge the system. He became a symbol of resistance against corruption and inequality. Terror and loyalty. As the Colombian government increased pressure on drug cartels, Escobar answered with violence. He launched a ruthless campaign of terror. Bombings tore through cities, assassinations targeted judges, police, and politicians, and kidnappings spread fear across the country. His infamous warning, "Plata o plomo," silver or lead, left no room for negotiation. Take a bribe or die. Yet, even amid the bloodshed, Escobar maintained his image as a man of the people. He continued funding social programs, paid for funerals, and supported families affected by the violence. In the slums where the government had little presence, Escobar provided jobs, protection, and financial aid. This mix of fear and generosity created deep loyalty. Entire communities protected him from law enforcement. Children admired him, adults depended on him, and some genuinely believed he was doing more good than harm. Escobar was feared as a criminal but respected as a provider, both a villain and a twisted version of a local hero. The narco-saint culture. After his death in 1993, Pablo Escobar's legacy didn't fade, it transformed. In Medellin, especially in areas like Barrio Escobar, his memory is still alive. People visit his grave, leave flowers and notes, and set up altars with his photo. Stories of his life are passed down like legends, blending crime with myth. Escobar has taken on the status of a narco-saint in the eyes of many. Locals pray to him for protection, wealth, or justice, believing he can still influence their lives from beyond the grave. His image, once feared, is now sometimes revered, painted on murals, printed on candles, and kept in homes like a guardian figure. This unusual devotion is a mix of faith, struggle, and admiration. For those who felt abandoned by the system, Escobar was the one who gave them help and hope. In death, he became more than a man, he became a symbol of power, rebellion, and miracles for the forgotten. The forgotten government. Pablo Escobar's rise to near sainthood was deeply tied to the failures of the Colombian government. For years, poor and marginalized communities were neglected, left without basic services like housing, healthcare, or employment. The government's absence created a void, and Escobar stepped in to fill it. In neighborhoods like those in Medellin, Escobar became more visible and reliable than any politician. While the state remained distant and ineffective, he built homes, clinics, and soccer fields. His criminal empire funded the kind of support the government had long failed to provide. People didn't worship Escobar because they loved crime. They turned to him because he delivered. Where the system offered nothing, Escobar gave power, presence, and aid. In the eyes of many, he wasn't just a drug lord, he was the only figure who showed up when it mattered most. Media, memory, and myth. Movies, TV shows, and documentaries have further blurred the line between truth and myth. Shows like Narcos romanticized Escobar's life, portraying him as both a monster and a man of honor. This dual image allowed people to pick the version that fit their beliefs. Generations born after his death see him not just as a criminal but as a symbol. In schools and on the streets, his story is told with nuance, but often with reverence. The media transformed a real man into a legend, and legends are hard to erase. The dangerous legacy. The worship of Escobar isn't without consequences. It has inspired younger narcos to follow in his footsteps. In some places, his face is a brand, used to sell drugs, t-shirts, or even tours. Narcotourism in Medellin has become controversial, with some locals angry that tourists celebrate a man who caused so much pain. The myth of Escobar hides the victims. The thousands who died in bombings, executions, and crossfires. The families torn apart. For every life he helped, many more were destroyed. The billion-dollar offer. At the height of his power, Pablo Escobar made a shocking offer to the Colombian government. He would pay off the country's $10 billion national debt. In exchange, he wanted protection from extradition to the US. This wasn't just talk, Escobar had the money. His cartel earned over $20 billion a year, and he wanted to be seen as a patriotic savior, not a criminal. The government refused, unwilling to legitimize a drug lord. But the offer revealed just how deeply Escobar's power had reached into Colombia's politics and economy. A complicated icon. Pablo Escobar was not a saint. He was a ruthless criminal who built an empire on addiction and fear. But to understand why he was worshipped, we must look beyond his crimes. He filled a vacuum left by the government, offered dignity to the ignored, and crafted an image that resonated deeply with the poor. He is both a cautionary tale and a reflection of systemic failure. His godlike status is not just about him, it's about what he represented to those who had nothing else. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Share your thoughts in the comments. Was Escobar a hero, a villain, or something in between? We want to hear what you think. Thanks for watching.